Welcome back. This is Suike Novus recording the second part, well, commentating over the second part of my X6 playthrough. I wanted to address a few of the formatting changes and something that I forgot to mention in the first video that I really should have, but I'll definitely put in the description. Um, Number one, I switched over from, as I mentioned before, I switched over from intercommentary to post-commentary, and this is actually for two different reasons. I mentioned it in the first one. One of the reasons why I switched to post-commentary was, number one, to get my game playing better because I'm not trying to concentrate on talking at the same time as playing. But number two, it was also because if you watch my X5 playthrough, in my opinion, it's sometimes very hard to hear over the game sounds and the music of the game, and I don't really want to squash down the game music because I love X6's and X5's music, but it really just needed to be adjusted. So I'm post-commentating, and then I am working on the sound of my microphone because even when I yell into the mic, you still really can't hear me over the game sounds. And the way I'm recording this, I have the game turned down as low as possible, and it's still louder than I am. So yeah, that's something I just can't get over. This is actually the first armor capsule of the game, and this lends to my alternate theory that, hey, Dr. Light might have been the one to repair Zero, because we've already established that Dr. Light was able to alter things at this point in time, even though he's supposed to be long gone, because he repaired X. The reason why I say that it's possible that Dr. Light repaired Zero is because why would he, all of the armors that work for X in this particular game all encompass the Zero save. Which, if that's the case, it's quite possible that he could have actually just analyzed the saber that X had, or analyzed Zero's information, and then from that made armors that work with X. Which obviously there's a whole bunch of plot holes at this point in time, but I mean, hey, it's a game. But even still, that's whatever. I mean, yeah, whatever. I will probably go into that more detail, or try to say what I meant to say coherently later. But another thing I wanted to mention was I changed my formatting from playing one stage per part to playing 2 stages per part. The reason why I want to do that is because if you watch my X5 playthrough, and it's not even done yet, I'm up to like 31 parts, maybe 32. I haven't added it all to the playlist yet, where I wanted to cut this one down. So I'm doing 2 stages at a time, or 2 bosses at a time, instead of 1 boss at a time. So yeah, that's one of the things I've changed. Something I completely forgot to mention in the first part that I need to mention here is, when you see me pause, when you see me pause and the music jumps ahead and I'm still in the pause screen, I drop back out. The reason why I do that is because, oh yeah, embarrassing death here. This is one of the more annoying parts. You pretty much have to take a leap of faith there if you don't completely avoid the spikes altogether, because you can't see down there. That is one of the things I find annoying, but I don't think it's like a bug. They just put that in to be hard, which you will see in the next stage, which is very hard. But I mean, not looking down, but the fact that this game was made to be very difficult. But anyway, back to what I was saying. If you see me pause, if you see in these two videos only, because it'll be fixed in the next video, if you see me pause and then the video music skips ahead and I've unpaused, the reason why is because Fraps was not being nice and it was buffering really weird, which was filling up my buffer. And due to the fact that I have to use a virtual sound card because thank you Microsoft patching, they completely removed my stereo mix option from my sound card, and no matter what I do, I cannot get it back. And trust me, I know how to modify registries. I built this computer on my own. So don't even talk to me like I don't know what I'm doing. It was completely removed, and I now no longer have the option to record stereo mix from my computer, which sucks because I record a lot of game videos, and that's the reason why there was a long lull in game videos, because I could no longer record my game sounds. So I have to use a virtual sound card while I'm recording this, and Fraps was being a pain when it came to my buffering. and it was filling up my buffer, and it was overloading the virtual sound card. So I would have to stop every so often. Every single time you see me pause, I'm actually stopping, closing fraps, closing fraps, unloading my buffer, reopening my virtual sound card, reopening fraps, and re-recording. So that's the reason why there's a sound gap between the pauses. It's really got nothing to do with, I'm not cheating or anything like that. It's not save states. I'm not using save states. This is my favorite game, and this is my favorite X game. My favorite games are Tentacle 2, but that's a different story. That's just the reason why I was doing it that way. And I've talked completely over the stage over the changes that I was making. This stage is fairly straightforward, like all the forest / grasslandy stages that you see in all the X games. And it's probably the first stage that you want to do because the boss is pretty easy. The stage is decently easy besides that one pain in the butt spike sequence. You just pretty much want to start off here. The way that this boss works is that he constantly has those little dragonflies flying around him, as he is a gigantic dragonfly himself, that shoots pellets. You can destroy the pellets with either your sword or you can shoot them, but of course if you shoot them, I think it takes a full charge shot to destroy one, or half a charge shot. I don't think a regular shot will stop it. And of course, that's wasted charge that you can't use to hit him. So it's fairly easy to destroy those guys. He's a very easy boss. There's not really anything I have to talk about with him. You can destroy the shots that come at you. You can dodge most of them. I don't know why I took that shot right there. Well, I do know why. I wanted to conserve my charge shot, and I didn't want to just avoid it. But yeah, he's a very easy boss. There's really no reason to worry about him. What was I in the last, well, no, that's not really important. I've already talked about that enough, and I don't want to go on to a long rant about Remember Me, because I'm playing Megaman X6, not Remember Me. Okay, I can't get over it. No, I can't get over. Well, right here you see me getting this orb that you never seen me get before. You saw these blue orbs, those and that green orb. They're all called Nightmare Souls. And what Nightmare Souls are is they're DNA of the Nightmare, which aren't technically Reploids. They're bits of damage 0, or they're fake 0 replica copy thingies, and that's the rescue rest. It's actually showing what I've gotten from rescuing those Reploids. But anyway, back to that. Those souls are used for one thing that I can remember, and one thing. Well, I think they're actually used for two things. Number one, there is a cutscene that you can get if you get enough of those souls, and I think the number is 6,000. Number two, they also increase your hunter rank. Your hunter rank isn't increased in this game by how fast or how well you complete a stage. It's by the number of Nightmare Souls that you have. So that's what's going to allow you to equip your parts and everything like that. It's a decent system. I like this system a little bit better from X5. I mean, yeah, you can sit there and farm, but yeah, I think it's easier to farm, and if you're not as good at X games, you can still reach the point where you can equip parts, as opposed to if you're bad at X games, you can never get parts in X5 because you're so bad that you never pick up the parts that may actually help you finish the game. So I think it's an improvement on the system from the perspective of, if you're not as good at the game, it makes the game easier for you to play. We're actually about to come up on a stage where we can farm those souls from the nightmares themselves. Before going past any spoil, well, actually, there's a secret boss that you can actually farm for nightmare souls, which will help you increase your rank up to the highest rank, which I think is PA. Obviously here we're going to get the Sigma's coming back reference. Speaking of the Sigma's coming back reference, how dumb was Sigma's death in X7? Really, how dumb was X7? If you're going to complain about a Mega Man game, complain about X7, because it completely changed the formula. The game was rather annoying at times. I think X7 was the game that was terrible, and X6 wasn't that bad. X8 was really good. I liked X8. And going on another tangent about the X series, I think I mentioned it a little bit in X5, but I would really like to have seen Alia, or in X9, it would be nice to see if they ever make X9, which is possible to be 9. But I would like to have seen either X get a romantic interest, or Alia being X's romantic interest, because when we're talking about Zero, Zero's had 3 romantic interests over the course of the X and the Zero series, and he wasn't technically the main character of the X series, and he had 2 female love interests in the X series. He had obviously Iris, who everyone knows about. What am I fighting for? Blah 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 blah. But oh, the stage is very hard. The gimmick to the stage is The gimmick to the stage is, I just went on completely different, just completely switched gears, is that you have to go into these totem pools, which teleport you to a different area. The area is completely randomized, so you can actually have a different area each time you come in, and you will see, well, I will describe evidence of that because it actually happens. These areas are full of nightmares. The only real way that you can heal yourself here is there's 2 energy capsules sitting out, and nightmares do not drop healing items. And the boulders actually drop healing items every once in a while, but it seems that they're a lot rarer than dropping them off of enemies. Which makes this a very hard stage if you're not sure what you're going to do. I think I actually die in the stage 2 to 3 times, which is rather bad, but then again, I'm not trying to make a perfect playthrough. I'm trying to do a 100% playthrough, but I'm not trying to do a perfect playthrough. Maybe my last run will be a perfect playthrough. What's funny is the last playthrough is actually the hardest because I mentioned earlier that there is a secret boss that you can farm. That secret boss, you cannot get to that secret boss without unlocking Zero. However, to get the quote-unquote worst ending of the game, you have to not unlock Zero. So you cannot farm Nightmare Souls in the normal way, which is go to that boss, fight him over and over and over again. He's a fairly easy boss for Hunter Ring, which I'll actually detail which boss that is. So if you wanted to farm Nightmare Souls, you have to come here, which is a fairly random stage, and it's fairly difficult if you don't have a good control of dodging, or if you just take a lot of damage, like you see me try to take a lot of attacks, because yet still, it's been a while since I've played X6, and I'm not quite used to the dodging attacks yet. But you have to come here, and it's a hard stage to. I mean, there's a lot of Nightmare Souls here, but it's a hard stage to really farm because it's fairly easy to die here. You're actually going to see me die either at this totem or the next totem. But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was talking about love interest. I would really have liked to have seen X get a love interest, especially since he was the main character. He was supposed to be the main character of the X series, and he never really had one. Zero had 2 in the X series and got his 3rd in the Zero series, which I think is completely ridiculous, because you have Iris, and then you have Iris in X4, then you get Layer in X8. If you haven't played X8, X8 is actually pretty decent. You should play X8. And in the Zero series, if you don't know who Zero's love interest is in the Zero series, I'm not even going to bother explaining it. You could say, hey, they're not really love interests, they just are really, really good friends, but no one's buying that. Yes, they're a human and a Reploid, but, well, a human and a robot, because it's not technically a Reploid, but it doesn't. They were love interests, get over it. That's what was going on. Yeah, this is where you see how difficult this stage can get, because they take a few hits. With the later armor, it's actually easier to kill them. You can kill them pretty easily here with this armor, but they're still a bit of a pain. There's the heart tank. This is one of the issues with this stage. Yep, I'm switching gears again. One of the issues with this stage is it's very, very random, because the areas that you get sent to in the stage, this one area right here that you're seeing me fight the totem in right here, it's very straightforward. All it has are 4 totems, I think. I think it's only 4 totems, and that's it. And then it leads to the doors to the boss room. That's what makes this stage so random. The areas that you get teleported to are completely random based on the game and whatever it picks. This is kind of important, and yet, so I think I had to do my whole entire Fraps transition there. I'm not necessarily sure, because I'm recording this with the sound off just so that I can make sure I match everything up a little bit. But anyway, what was I saying? everything's random. The progression through the stage is fairly random, which means that there are different areas that you may or may not see until you play through the stage 2 or 3 different times. It's actually going to be shown here because I have to do a jump. Well, it's going to be shown in this video, at the end of this video, because I have to do a jump cut to get to the armor stage, because yet again, it's completely random when it shows up. I actually had to play through the stage 4 different times to get the armor piece to show up. And the portal in the stage, because every stage has a secret portal that leads to a secondary area. I think every stage does. Does this stage? I don't even remember. I think it does. But anyway, that makes the stage fairly hard to get everything in for inside of it, because it can be completely random. Yeah, it can just be completely random. Especially since it's full of Nightmare, which don't drop health. And the totems, I don't believe drop health, but there's like 2 health items here. The boulders drop health, but you're most likely focused on the totems and not the... Oh, this is the Giga Attack. It's the same Giga Attack in X5, but they changed the animation a little bit. The totems don't drop health. The boulders drop health, but you're most likely focusing on the Nightmare. That is just a much harder stage. This is the boss of the stage, which is Ground Scaravich. Ground Scaravich is... he's a dung beetle. Dang phone. I have no other idea why my phone keeps going off. But anyway, Ground Scaravich is a dung beetle, which is pretty... it's actually rather hilarious. But anyway, he's weak to Commander Yanmark's weapon, which is very useful. And you can actually hear him straining as he tries to push the boulders. But anyway, all of these Mavericks seem to have more significance than they did before, because the different Mavericks all have a little bit of a history with Alia, because Alia in some way or another had them all destroyed at some point in time. Because apparently rebuilding a Reploid is some great big illegal thing, because I'm not necessarily sure. The robots, you should just be able to throw them back together. It's not a big deal, but it's improper for you to bring a Reploid back from the point that when they've been destroyed. And due to the fact that people kept going into that and doing that, they had to have, well, due to different forbidden things and walking into random forbidden areas and places like that, people would get destroyed. It's as simple as that. Alia had to destroy a few of them, and she feels bad over it. Things like that. Something else. I'm now rambling because I'm trying to talk over somebody. But one gigantic plot hole with it's forbidden to rebuild a Reploid is the fact that Zero was rebuilt next to, and nothing seemed to come of that. No one got in trouble. And you could argue that they were a government agency and everything like that. But yeah, and here's the jump cut. I had the jump cut here. So it's not going to be a big deal. It took me 4 tries to get to this armor piece, because for some strange reason it refused to show up. I'm trying to remember if the Nightmare showed up before the point in time that he got here, but I'm not necessarily sure. So I really don't feel like checking if the Nightmare had showed up at the stage or not. But I'm still trying to talk over somebody. Yeah, that's the armor piece for this stage. I think it's the Buster piece. I'm not necessarily sure because I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on. I also showed getting that one guy. I think I didn't show another Reploid in this stage. I ended up picking up some Reploids behind the jump cut because I was trying to get to the armor piece. But here's the last Reploid that's not in a Nightmare / portal area. Anyway, that's it for that run.